What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Culture 316. This is episode 17. I am one of your hosts and producers, Jordan Nahisi.
And your co-host, Edge's Throat Goat Mo. What is up, people?
Thank you guys so much for joining us once again for another episode. If you are on Apple or Spotify podcasts, be sure to rate the podcast, share it, or wherever you're streaming your podcast. If you're on YouTube, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as check out the rest of our channel because we got a lot of cool stuff. Before we get into the show, just wanted to say that this Saturday, it's Full Gear Saturday. So you know what that means. We're going to be having another 316 space. So pop on over to our Twitter at Culture316. We'll be going live from the Twitter. Bring your drinks, bring your bevs, bring all of the recreational things that you love to do, and we'll be there waiting for you. I'm really, really excited about this Full Gear pay-per-view for many reasons that we will tackle later on in the show. But without further ado, we're going to get right into it. So, first things first, last Friday, WWE announced and launched the SmackDown World Cup, an 8-man single elimination tournament where the winner faces Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. So, I wanted to know, what were your first impressions of the tournament on your behalf, and what does this mean for the Intercontinental Championship?
I think the idea of having a tournament for the Intercontinental Championship, I think, is like a great idea. Makes me happy again because there's focus being placed on the mid cards. Gunther has been doing a great job in this role, um, and I just know that with this tournament, due to the fact they haven't been not maybe momentarily, but over like the past couple of years when it came to the mid cards, like properly setting them up to make them all feel important and feel like individuals. This is going to help like build character for whatever mid card is set up for Gunther. So I love that because um the hardest thing that I noticed that WWE is having like a struggle with is that they tend to like put all their money and effort into one person but then fail to set up the rest of the division. And what I love about a tournament is that it gives everyone a place to shine,
Mm,
whether they lose or not. That's their match. That is their 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes to show the world like a little bit about you, and
yeah.
remind us why you're still here, why you deserve it. So even if you lose, there's some people that like like I have seen people, for example, like when they had the women's like Queen of the Ring, for example, they weren't behind people like Tony Storm and stuff like that, but they seen her match and just like, wow, like she's actually pretty good. Never seen her before, but like great wrestler. I actually like her. That's what I love about tournaments. It gives everyone a place to shine, whether you win or lose. And the person that does win, um, when it's time for them to exchange the titles over, it feels like a powerful moment. It doesn't feel like anyone like lost or failed or that the division is going to collapse because you build everyone around this. Everyone pretty much eats. So I think that it's a great idea. I love it. What do you think is your take on it?
I honestly love it. I think we were talking about like the King of the Ring last week, and we were just talking about tournaments in general, how WWE needs to incentivize tournaments. And I think that this is the perfect, I think this is the perfect way to go about it, right? Like a shot at the Intercontinental title. You've spent months talking about how this is the richest prize in wrestling. You've spent months on putting it as the main event of the shows, using it as kind of like the championship match in certain pay-per-views that have stolen the show. Like we can't forget about Gunther and Sheamus at Clash at the Castle, the banger that was. And so I think that giving a title like the Intercontinental title a tournament is a way of elevating the prestige of the Intercontinental title. And even from the whole title, SmackDown World Cup, right? Because it's on Fox and Fox hosts the World Cup, this is something that makes sense from a cross promotional standpoint. And then if we look at the participants, you have Braun Strowman, you have Sami Zayn, you have Santos Escobar, you have Jinder Mahal, you have Butch, you have Ricochet, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Mustafa Ali. Now, obviously, this list of participants has shrunk because last week we saw our first round. I think Braun Strowman beat Jinder. I feel like Santos beat somebody else. I'm not sure off the top of my head. However, if you look at this bracket, it's filled with international stars. You have two guys in the U.S. and everybody else is pretty much an internationally based superstar. So seeing that diversity, seeing kind of like this collection of talent because none of these guys are scrubs, right? Like Sami Zayn, Santos Escobar, Butch, Ricochet, Shinsuke Nakamura, Mustafa Ali. A lot of these guys are former champions. A lot of these guys are captivating characters, especially what Sami Zayn is doing with the Bloodline right now. So it doesn't feel like it's a tournament that's like reserved for the less important people. You feel like you're getting a high quality, high caliber tournament. And I think that the way that they're kind of going about this is amazing. I'm expecting some amazing matches out of this. Um, and I'm just really, really happy that WWE is bringing back the prestige of tournaments and having to work towards a championship because I feel like it's a part of character development and it gives the opportunity for so many characters, win, lose, or draw, to develop their character out of this, especially, like Santos, who's currently involved in this freaking three-way faction feud between Hit Row, Legato, and the Viking Raiders. So I'm really, really eager to see what they're gonna do. But I was gonna say, did you have anything else that you wanted to add? Because you looks like you want to say something.
I actually just wanted to ask who was your pick because I thought Santos
Mm,
was a great idea, or Ali. Kind of
mm,
also Sami Zayn, but I think that Santos would like this would be like a great opportunity to like give him spotlight and kind of I guess pamper him the same way they did in NXT because he had like his
mm,
own thing going on. He was in a faction, he was leading the faction, but he had his own thing, and I felt like this would be the perfect opportunity to not quite isolate him, but to just like let it be known that he is the standout. I feel like Zelina, as much as I love her, it's almost like taking over here with the
yeah.
faction just because we already know Zelina. She came in with this great look. She's a great talker and all that stuff. But Elektra was like in the background in NXT. Like she had
Mm-hmm.
her roles, but she was still like in the background as just part of the group. Whereas Zelina has such a presence that it kind of pulls away from him. I think this would be great if he won. But I wanted to know
Mm.
who did you think should win this tournament?
Ooh. So while I love Santos and I feel like he eventually is gonna win the Intercontinental Championship because he's just so good, if the plan is for the winner of this tournament to face Gunther, I feel like Ali should win it because Gunther right now is a monster heel, right? Like he's a monster heel. Like, and I feel like Santos is a heel as well. And while a clash of the heels will be interesting, I feel like the match and the story that people are going to sink their teeth into is Ali and Gunther because Gunther is top of his game, held the Intercontinental title for a record setting amount of days. And so I feel like it would just be the best way to go if Ali would win because I feel like having that relatable baby face up against this monster of a heel, I think is something that's going to captivate a lot of people. But what about you? Who is your pick?
It was between Santos. If I had to go in order of those three names I just mentioned, definitely Santos, Ali, and then possibly Sammy. But I still want Sammy more so for the King of the Ring do I than I want for this
Mm,
opportunity. So out of between those two is my main pick because Ali has just been just overdue, man. It's just been overdue. But I
mhm.
just feel like um this is a good opportunity to take someone that's still kind of like a nobody to the main roster and give them a personality and show the world like their work, more in depth because it's more one on one than it would be like the three-way faction thing you're mentioning. He would have his own personality. People could see just how he just operates on his own. So, um, I prefer Santos than Ali, but I love your take on it.
Solid. I think that's it on that. But we want to know what you guys think. Who do you want to win the SmackDown World Cup? Let us know in the comments. But we're moving on. So, as reported by SE Scoops, WWE wants to involve an insane amount of celebrities for WrestleMania 39. So, I wanted to know, as it pertained to WrestleMania 39, which celebrities would you like to see in WWE's biggest event?
Okay, well, I made like a kind of long list because you said celebrities, so that means it could be really anyone. Um, The Rock does need to come back. The Rock does need to
Mm,
come back because Hollywood. He's not really like he's a celebrity. I know he's a wrestler, but he's a celebrity. I want him to be back. I want the Migos to come back because like wrestling was a big part of their lives. Very big part of their lives. I mean, they included it when they had separately wrote about their thoughts about Takeoff and just I just think that it'd be a wonderful way to introduce that to them. Just I don't know. I just feel like they deserve something after just such a tragedy. And they could have their own little ceremony. They pay their own homage to take off while they're over there. I know, like when he passed, that a lot of the wrestlers like felt it too because they have been backstage quite a few times. I know Ric Flair posted
Yeah.
about them, Bianca Blair posted about them. I think Naomi posted about them. A handful of wrestlers did. So I feel like they should be back there. This one is a no brainer. Cardi, like, girl, like, I know she's busy and she's booked and she has a kid and all that stuff, but girl, clear your schedule because like we've been begging for Cardi since like 2017. Hell, Carmella has been waiting. Carmella sat there and made a whole stiff behind cringy choreography that Cardi didn't even shout out, comment on, like, retweet, none of that. But Carmella, she's been waiting. She's been waiting. I would love if she came. I would just love for her just to show up and say something funny, or maybe she could even like introduce one of the female wrestlers, since she already mentioned that she was a fan of people like Melina, and she was a fan of like Rey Mysterio and stuff like that. I would love if she introduced somebody, or she just had like little back and forth commentary with someone. That'd be great.
Mm.
Um, this one was kind of lazy, but I threw in Snoop Dogg because it's Snoop Dogg. The one thing about Snoop Dogg is like he could go anywhere. He could bounce between AEW and WWE, and no one's gonna care because it's Snoop Dogg. Like no
Right.
one's gonna get mad at him picking a side. He's motherfucking Snoop Dogg. Okay, and you know what? I'll pay to watch him do another half-ass frog splash again. Okay, and then my last pick, my last two picks actually was Drake. I seen Drake walk around with a Universal title before, so I know he's a fan. He's just quiet about being a fan, but he is a fan. Okay, I would actually love to see Drake. He's like one of the biggest freaking like rap celebs that we have at this point in time in our generation. And Bad Bunny, he needs to come back. I
Hmm.
miss him. I don't care
Hmm.
if he wrestles or not. Actually, I do care because I need to see him versus Logan Paul. But I just need him to come back, and his vibe was everything. That whole performance with Booker T was just everything. Like that was star power. That was star quality. It's
Right.
Hollywood, so they need to bring back all the big celebs. So who did you think?
I agree with literally all the picks and the majority of the stuff that you said. I agreed on. So I wanted to see Bad Bunny. I want to see Takeoff and not Takeoff. Rest in peace, Takeoff. I wanted to see Offset and Quavo of the Migos. I want to see Snoop. I would love to see Dre since it's going to be in LA, and I feel like Snoop and Dre there would be a great appearance. I would like to see YG. I want to see Meg the Stallion in addition to Cardi B. Um I have there was an interaction between Meg and The Rock online. I think The Rock was asked about like if you were to be a pet to a celebrity, who would you be? And he said Meg the Stallion. So I would love to see like them in person interact. I think that would be really, really funny. But I would like to see The Rock. I would love to see Kevin Hart. I think that he would be a nice little appearance there. He's been a wrestling fan. I know his kids are wrestling fans. Um, I'm trying to figure out who else. I think Drake, in
Listen,
addition
I
to the
need a banter
Universal.
between The Rock and him. Then I need another
Yeah, oh,
banter because their
absolutely,
interviews
without a
are
shadow of a doubt.
freaking hilarious.
Without a shadow of a doubt. The Drake, the funny part is, in addition to the Universal Championship, there was a point in time where he walked around with a Razor Ramon shirt. So I definitely want to
Oh,
see that. I would love to see some athletes involved. LeBron James comes to mind.
we need an
From the Los
updated
Angeles
meme saying
of of
a LeBron.
oh yeah, you're right. The
Yeah, like the
headline all the
meme with the cell phone.
with him taking a picture of Stone Cold. It was really the fact that he was really in like the baggiest of Rockaware with a Verizon flip phone. Nah, but I would love to see Braun at WrestleMania 39.
Does Dave
This is
Chappelle
in
like wrestling money memes?
I never heard him talk about wrestling, but I would love to see Dave Chappelle. I'd love to see Jay Z. Um, Never heard him talk about wrestling either, but this is ambitious. Um, but yeah, those are like just some of the people that I think that would make an appearance. And the reason why my list is so long is just because it's 2 nights, so they have the space to do this now. Um, but yeah,
But it's
like
also
I think
Hollywood.
that it is very much Hollywood. So I think that there's a possibility of seeing that, and I think that it would be great if we got all those celebrities. But it was just, I was, dang, you said so many of the people that I wanted to say. So, but
I'm sorry.
moving on, you're good. You are totally fine. But moving on. So, according to Wrestle Purist, Sasha Banks' company, Solnato Incorporated, has filed for 4 trademarks for 4 names, and they go as follows. We have Mercedes Monet, we have Monet Talks, we have Bank Monet, and Statement Maker. Um, so in response to these, I was like, what do you think of this business move on behalf of Mercedes Varnado? We're calling her by her real name. And what does this mean for a potential return to wrestling? And where do you think that she's going to show up?
Miss Mercedes is about her coins. That's what I got from her claiming anything that has to do with Sasha Banks, Mercedes, the spin-offs um her finisher, stuff like that. I like how she's like covering all her bases to make sure that like no matter what happens, where she goes, if let's just say her next run in WWE were to flop, for whatever means, like no one could take anything from her this time. Like it's either it's you give me what I want or someone else is going to give me what I want. But there's so
Hmm.
many things she could be doing with it. It could be used for just wrestling, but I think that she's like such a businesswoman right now. I could see her using it for like apparel or to make like a line of some sorts. And she's just again trying to trademark just these names, so like she has all these things to set up down the line. Now, as far as your second question goes, for a potential return. I haven't seen a lot of bickering on I was gonna say YouTube chat. I've seen a lot of bickering on Twitter. I know. I've been banned off of Twitter for a whole week and I'm over here
A
referencing
whole
YouTube.
week.
That's why I've been sitting on. But I'll be back. I'll be back. But yeah. Um, in regards of her coming back, I had heard a lot of people just chirping about this, saying that she's gonna go to Stardom or she's gonna go to AEW or she's gonna make her own promotion and stuff like that. I think that considering that she's still on the roster, like she was not on the roster, then her and Naomi were added back to the roster. And then again, considering she has such a good relationship with Triple H, it just seems weird to me that she would jump ships now when literally like everything's kind of in her favor at this point. It's either,
Right.
she comes back exactly as she wants to, or hey, I already built this big ass empire in a matter of like how many months it's been? What, May, June, July, August, September, November. Like
Six.
5 months,
Has to
and
be
she's
six. Yeah.
yeah, about to be 6 months. She literally built this entire brand, this entire empire, and she says she has like a secret for us. I feel like she was just playing with us because she knows that the crew is crazy. All right, we love
Yeah.
Sasha. We crazy about Sasha. We want her to come
That's a
back,
fact.
okay? Like it's to a point where I be seeing reports about her with her CBD and stuff like that. I'm like, child, I don't care anymore. Get your ass back in the ring. Like I just want to see you wrestle. Damn, you know. I honestly think that she's gonna go out the way that she wants to go out. I don't think she's gonna stay very long in WWE because she doesn't need to stay long in WWE. But I also don't think she's gonna drop wrestling because she has such a big heart for this business that I feel like it's not about just her blossoming in WWE, but maybe she wants to see wrestling win all across the board. And maybe she has a way in her beautiful mind that she wants to unify it. But I feel like if Mercedes were to conclude her WWE run, I need all right, I need Trish to pick up the phone. She's been ducking her for how many years now? She's been
Mad
ducking
long.
her. All right? There's been bat signals after bat signal after bat signal. Trish, all
Not the
right?
bat signals.
Nah, because she got time to answer her phone call for this Canadian talk show or not talk show, talent show. Okay, but Sasha's over here like ringing this phone, this girl's line, and she's just ducking it. And I just think that it'd be so beautiful because the story writes itself between Sasha and Trish. If
Mm.
she were to come back, win the Royal Rumble, let her be a heel, let her be a dickhead and be like, you know what, I ain't choosing the title because you know what, like I said before, I'm Sasha Banks and my name's bigger than your title. It's bigger than all your titles here. Give me what I want, Miss Stratus. Pick up your phone. Pick up your phone. I want you. If she wants
I
to
like
go
that.
out, that'd be a beautiful way. I could see the bickering for the promos because Sasha could talk about how she's done all this before age 30 compared to Trisha's career. But then Trish could just clap back at me like, girl, my title reigns mean more than every single one of yours. Like, name one. Name one. Look at mine. They all outlasted yours. Add up all yours together. Like, I'm pretty sure Trish has a title reign that like the went past a year. She literally can eat
Oh,
her up with a one
absolutely.
liner or two. Trish don't gotta do too much. She don't gotta do too much. It writes itself. But I would love to just see the visual of Sasha and Trish just holding up each other's hands at the end of this. And if that's just how she wants to end her WWE run, I'd be more than satisfied. And then she could go anywhere else. I would prefer to see her actually in Stardom than AEW because I feel like they're doing their own thing over there. Just let it be, let it fester. But the only reason why I would want to see her in AEW is if her and Paige had a feud. That would be hilarious to me. I would love to see Paige jump Sasha and then kick her in the back. And pick up the
Yo.
mic and curse her out.
That would be a nice little, yeah. Keep going, keep
That
going.
would be insane. Like they could make this very disrespectful. Very disrespectful. But at the same time, Mercedes don't need to go over there for me because I just feel like she's just so big that it's just like she's doing them a favor rather than, the other way around. So
Mhm.
I would prefer for Sasha to finish strong in WWE, finish off the right way, get that legendary match that she wants, and then she could go to Japan and do all her other activities that she wants to pursue. No, I went off on a whole ramble, but I want to know what's your take.
Nah, that was actually perfect. But here's the first thing that kind of jumped to my mind when I saw all these trademarks being filed. I don't think that Sasha Banks is coming back as Sasha Banks. I think that she is going to be coming back as when I see like Mercedes Monet, that's a potential name. When I see Monet Talks, I feel like that's a potential move. Bank Monet is a potential move. Statement Maker is a potential move as opposed to Bank Statement. So I feel like she's getting her ducks in a row so that when she returns to WWE, um, that she comes back under her own terms and under a different name. Because here's the thing that we've talked about on the show before is the whole idea of intellectual property and IP, right? And when we see a guy like a John Cena and we see a guy like The Rock, we're like, oh, look at these big names. But The Rock, the name and the image and the likeness of The Rock is WWE's intellectual property. The name, the image, and likeness of John Cena is WWE's intellectual property. So anytime they go into the world and they do these things, right, and they're using the John Cena name, they're using the Rock name, WWE gets a cut because those name, image, and likenesses are under WWE's intellectual property. And that was one of the reasons why there was such a big fiasco when the whole Twitch thing was happening because a lot of these guys were going on or Cameo as well. A lot of these guys were using their either their wrestling name or lines or personas related to their wrestling name because they were using in WWE's mind their intellectual property and using it for personal gain without cutting WWE and on the profit or on the check. So I feel like what Mercedes is doing here is that she's getting her ducks in a row so that, she can pull a move similar to a Cody Rhodes where she can own her own trademarks and she can license them to different companies as opposed to tying all of her name or all of her value uh up in a name that ultimately she doesn't own. And so anytime she would have to use that name, WWE would have to get a product or I should say a cut from it. So I think that what Mercedes is doing is that she is very much invested in her brand. And by doing all these trademarks, she's giving herself the leverage so that if she does make an appearance in WWE and then goes to AEW and then goes to Stardom or whatever the case may be, it's Mercedes Monet in all three places. And now she's making money off of WWE merch. She's making money off of AEW merch. She's making money off of Stardom merch. She can go into the world and do all these different whatever, but she's doing it under that name. So nobody else gets a cut from that but her. So I think that that's number one. As far as what this means for a potential return to wrestling, I think we're going to see her soon. I really think that this Survivor Series War Games match is going to end up in uh, Sasha Banks or Mercedes Varnado returning to WWE. And then I believe that, she's going to have a run. I think she's gonna have a singles run. Actually, no, no, no. I think she's gonna have a tag run, and I think she's gonna break apart, do her singles thing. I definitely want to see her, like you said, against Trish. And then I can see her moving to other companies and not necessarily doing long term deals. I think that this is going to be the last long term deal that Mercedes is involved in because I think that she wants to be able to move around and have feuds and have have different stories with different wrestlers. Because when you think about it, I say besides winning the Royal Rumble, she's kind of done everything. You know what I mean? How many times can you win a women's championship? How many times can you win Money in the Bank? I feel like after she wins the Royal Rumble, I think she's done everything she's wanted to do in WWE. I would throw in that Trish Stratus match, and then there's nothing else. But I feel like I feel like beyond this, I think that she just wants to be able to do stuff outside of WWE, but I think that she wants to finish off her bucket list before she goes anywhere else. And as far as where do I think she's going to show up, I think WWE first, but I think she's going to go on a little bit of a world tour. I think that she's going to hit up AEW, wrestle a couple women there, hit up Stardom, wrestle a couple people there, maybe come back to WWE, wrestle a couple people there. I just think that she's going to position herself to where the leverage is with her, that she owns her brand, and because of that she can be herself in every single company that she touches. And I think that that's the most important thing. You're about to say something though. What are you going to say?
No, no. If you see me like open up my mouth a lot, I'm just congested. Go ahead.
Okay, okay, okay. That was but that was literally it. I just think that Mercedes is doing what's necessary to own her intellectual property, and I'm here for it. But speaking of superstars,
Okay,
Logan
actually, now
Paul
I
is
have
a
a point.
keep going.
What
Go go
we
go.
discussed, since we discussed Sasha, what does this mean for Naomi if they were to separate from one another? Because now people got used to identifying them with each other because they've been seen everywhere with each other for the most part. They've been making business moves with each other. Do you think that Naomi follows suit? Do you think she just comes back and does a little run and then retires and has some kids or something? Like, where's her path in all of this? I don't. She's been kind of low key about her next moves.
Bloodline. I think that if Sasha and Naomi break up, I think that it would be a perfect time, even if they do like a little 2-month feud, it would be a perfect time for Naomi to turn heel and join the bloodline and be on some you've made me, step out of a company that I didn't even be in. You made me separate myself from my family and I'm not about that. And then they could have a little, 2-month feud. It can culminate, that can lead her to winning the Royal Rumble and go, face Trisha Mania probably. But I think that Naomi can definitely, I mean, like, it's obviously that's up in the air, but I feel like Naomi, regardless of if she's with Sasha or not, is a star. And I think that she'll be fine either way because she has so many avenues in which she can go to add value to herself and her career. And to be honest, we haven't seen a heel Naomi in a very long time. And I feel like that would be something that would be great for her career. And the bloodline is just the best thing going today. You have the Usos, who are the longest reigning tag team champions of all time. You have Roman Reigns, who hasn't been pinned in over 1,000 days. You have Solo, who's stepping into his own. You have Sammy, who's the most entertaining character. And I feel like if you put Naomi around that, she can do damage, and can add more gold to the bloodline. Because, like, what other championship can they add right now? You know what I mean? So I can see Naomi joining the bloodline if Sasha and Naomi were to separate. What about you?
Do you see her going anywhere else though? Like,
Nah, nah. I don't see Naomi going anywhere else as far as like a wrestling company. I don't know. I've never heard Naomi kind of discuss her career goals outside of WWE. And that's totally fine. Some people are just WWE people. Like, some people have their bucket list. They want to do X, Y, and Z here, and then they could be good. So, but as far as like Naomi leaving WWE for another wrestling company, I don't see it. Not when you have all these people in WWE that like your husband's there, like your family's there, right? Like, if there's any place that you would want to make a statement, it's in the place where you have the most connection. So I don't see her leaving. Um, but yeah, that's just my opinion. What about yourself? Do you see her leaving?
there is so much for her to do and for her to accomplish, but I wonder, like, with the crop of women that they have left with, like, can Naomi be the star that she should be? Because I mean, they kind of done somewhat of a piss poor job building some of the women. I tried my hardest to pay attention to some of the females, um, down in NXT and outside. Some people like, Mandy Rose. I mean, Nikita's okay. I'm not as big of a fan of her, but I mean, I see that they're trying to, do something with her, and I could definitely see them pitting her against Naomi at some point. I don't feel like there's enough like stars down there or over
Mm,
at WWE to help make Naomi into the star that she can be. I could see her being catapulted with the bloodline, but it's just like, what do you do when you're done with that? So I could see her doing that, but I could actually see her finishing off there. And if Sasha is allowed to have a little world tour and jump around, I wonder if they would give Naomi that same privilege. Because, I mean,
mm,
a lot of the things that we see Naomi doing, modeling and stuff similar to that nature, she's been doing stuff that we haven't just seen her do as often. And that's, because I guess Sasha has been helping her. It's just like, if I'm gonna eat, then girl, you're gonna eat too, and you have it in you. You have that it factor. Come take this ride with me. I would wonder like what kind of conversation those two converse upon, when no one's there, because she's such a low key person. I wonder if anything rubbed off from Sasha that might have made her inspired to try different avenues other than WWE. So I could actually see her maybe not doing the Josie form of wrestling, but I could definitely see her popping up in AEW. And I feel
mm.
like they would immediately try to do something with Jade or Britt, to be
Ooh.
honest. Because a
Trinity
heel
and Jade,
Naomi,
though. Trinity and
yeah,
Jade. I like
yeah,
that.
you
I
see it.
like that.
That's money. That's money right there. I
That
mean,
is.
Paige and Naomi had one of the greatest freaking feuds. Back when Paige had her old face, bro, heel Naomi ate Paige up on the mic. I gotta find that promo for you. Maybe you could insert it into the show or not. But she ate her up on the mic, bro. Like, that could write itself. They could revisit that because
Mm,
Naomi ate her up on the fact that she just showed up here and basically took the belt. She didn't have to work for anything the way that she had to work for things. She could really run that whole thing back in AEW. And then, I mean,
right.
Britt, listen, I've been slandering her for all these weeks, but she's good. She's good. She's good at what she does on the mic. I could definitely see her just, if because Naomi's such a star. See, the difference between Paige and Britt is that this is gonna give Britt a good rub. But I feel like if they do Naomi versus Jade, Naomi versus Paige, Naomi versus Britt, they're both getting a rub out of this
Hmm.
because Naomi comes in with that star power. That's just all I want for her. I want her to come wherever she leaves from, wherever company that she goes to or she leaves from. I want her to just feel like that star that all of the fans see her as. And I
Mm,
feel like she could get that full on experience in AEW as opposed to WWE. Not because she doesn't have it in WWE, but because they have not, with the 5-6 months she's been gone, done a good job with building up the females to have
right.
people ready for her when she comes back. So
Absolutely.
that's just how I feel about it.
I feel you on that. I didn't have anything else to say because I actually I didn't see Naomi in other places outside of WWE, but you just made me a believer. But
I do that
moving on.
sometimes.
But
Mm.
hey yo. But moving on. So it seems as if Logan Paul is in WWE for the long run in a digital exclusive with WWE.com. The 28-year-old social media superstars that he's comfortable in the ring and that he will be doing this for a long time. Now later on in the week on his Impulsive podcast, he was talking about the match that he had with Crown Jewel at Crown Jewel with Logan Paul. I mean with Roman Reigns for the WWE Universal Undisputed Championship, and he said if if WWE wants to break the internet again because his frog splash video got him 40 million views online, I believe. He said that if WWE wants to have another viral moment again, what about John Cena versus Logan Paul at WrestleMania 39? So two questions. How do you feel about Logan Paul making a full-time run in the WWE? That's one. And two, would you be opposed to seeing Logan Paul versus John Cena at WrestleMania 39?
Well, to answer your first question, if I haven't put this man over enough, I love Logan Paul. Y'all could hate him for stuff from the past or him being Republican or whatever the fuck. I'm ignoring all that. I'm focusing on the man in the ring and what he does for this business. He is a freaking star, all right? He's a freaking
Mm-hmm.
star. Like what you can't deny it. You can't deny it. He's been here for a little bit and he's giving that pull that this company needs. He's giving them the star
Mm-hmm.
power. He provides the looks. He provides the promos, especially the in-ring talent. And it feels like every time I see this man, he just gets better. Like there's no reason why you were able to long jump a frog splash while holding your phone and drop. Yo, I would have dropped my phone and broke that shit. He
Oh,
had landed
100%.
it perfectly. Didn't drop the phone till he landed it. It was crisp. The buckshot Larry off the ropes, crisp. Everything
Crisp.
about this man is on point. I feel like this is an investment. The same way everyone like didn't believe in Bad Bunny, and then he had that match, and everyone's like, "We bring back Bad Bunny, bring back Bad Bunny." Same thing with I forgot this man, Pat McAfee. The same way no one
Yeah, Pat.
believed in
Yeah, yeah.
him. Like I would love to see more of him, but I love him as a commentator. He's great. He's lovely. He's
He needs to
awesome.
come back for
Like
College Game Day.
yes, yes,
But keep going,
okay.
keep going, keep going.
No, it's just like Logan Paul has it. As much as no one wants to admit it, because they're on their social justice warrior fucking high horse. He is it. He is it. Like he, if anything, would help out everyone else around him because he's been losing for the most part. But all his matches have been rememberable, and he still comes out a star. That's when you know you're destined because he doesn't need the wins underneath his belt. He doesn't. But with him eating, everyone else eats. Now to answer your second question, with uh, John Cena. I think that'd be great. Now I understand why a lot of people get upset because it's just like there's a lot of people who dream about having a match with John Cena. There's people who've been there for years in the locker room. Why does he get this opportunity? It's show business. At the end of the day, it's show business.
Right.
I understand that people have been grinding. They've been grinding and grinding and grinding. They still can't get TV time, but it's just like he's white hot right now. He's been white hot on the internet. He's only growing as a star. He's trying different avenues. Right now, this is the one that he landed in that he cares to go full throttle in. And he's a fan just like the rest of us. So I feel like it's very simple and easy storytelling. John really doesn't miss with anyone that he works with. He's such an underrated talent. I know everyone thinks he's overrated. I think he's underrated because even when he was in his Fruity Pebble era and he was, you know, I guess doing what Roman Reigns was doing and he was just everywhere and we were sick and tired of seeing him, he was still like working hard and even if he didn't put other people over because that was just the booking, like that man helps. Like he still elevated the company, he still raised the company, and I feel like Logan Paul could kind of do that with John. I feel like there's
Mm.
money in the match, there's money in the moment. It's something that's gonna go viral. It's gonna pull different eyes, like people who watch Logan Paul for YouTube, but they stop watching wrestling because most people say, "Oh, I stopped watching that at 11." Well, now you're gonna get back some of those viewers. People that
Right.
listen to his podcast, people that watch him on YouTube. That's what you want, especially in the day and age of social media. Y'all have to think about it from a business standpoint of what this does. Everyone knows John Cena. Everyone and their mama, no matter if you watch wrestling ever a day in your life or not, you know John Cena. And then the outsiders know Logan Paul, whether it's for good or for bad.
Mm.
Like, it makes money. It makes money, but on top of that, they're both good at their job. So you can't be
Very
mad.
true.
It's not like, oh, you're just trying to get a star. They don't respect the business. Da, 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 da. No, like he actually loves this business. He's quite obsessed with this business in all the right ways. Let it happen. Let it happen. What do you think about this?
So for starters, with the first question, I'm gonna go. I'm pulling up my notes. That's why I keep looking back at my phone. Um,
That's cool.
how do I feel about him making a full time run in WWE? I think it's needed. I think that WWE, unfortunately, they don't have the the variety of mainstream stars that they should have because they only developed so many over the past 10 years. Roman Reigns being one of them, Sasha Banks being another one, Bianca Belair is being groomed into one. I think The Miz is another one. But, you know, they when it comes to mainstream stars, particularly men, they're kind of lacking in that department. There may be two or three. So when we're talking about talents that can garner mainstream attention and reception, you can't look any further than Logan Paul. And I think that this benefits WWE just as much as it benefits Logan Paul, because ever since Logan Paul's been with WWE, you've seen Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Roman Reigns get these interviews on the Impulsive podcast, which is arguably one of the top 5 podcasts in the world. And so that garners the mainstream exposure for WWE that they haven't had in a while. Now, as it pertains to Logan Paul in the ring, as you said, anytime this man has been in the ring, he hasn't missed. He's created memorable moments. He has had matches that have surpassed all the expectations, even when he loses. I think he's won a majority of matches. He won at Mania. He won at SummerSlam. He just lost at Crown Jewel. And speaking of Crown Jewel, it was considered the highest viewed international premium live event that WWE has hosted. And Logan Paul was a big part of that. So, as far as him joining WWE full time, if it's his passion, I have no problem because the man is great at what he does. And on top of that, it's going to just continue to get um, WWE more exposure and more money. I'm very, very interested to see if Jake Paul gets in the mix, because there have been rumors circulating of a potential Usos versus the Pauls at WrestleMania for the tag team titles. And to be honest, I'm not particularly against that. So we'll see what happens with that. Now, as far as Logan Paul versus John Cena at WrestleMania 39, I also say let it happen. This is WrestleMania 39. This is Los Angeles, California. This is the first time you've done a WrestleMania in Los Angeles in almost 20 years. I think the last time they did Mania in LA was WrestleMania 21 at the Staples Center. Ironically, where John Cena won his first WWE championship. But I think that if you're looking to put on a celebrity fueled mega fest um, of wrestling and entertainment, I think the best match that you can have is John Cena versus Logan Paul. And I know it's interesting because we talked about Cena and his matches last weekend. Like, I said something about him facing Gunther. You said him facing Carmelo Hayes. And I think that both of those matches would be great. I think they would be great in ring matches. However, if we're talking about putting butts in the seats and packing 100,000 people into a stadium, John Cena and Logan Paul is going to do that and then some. So I fully am in support of Logan Paul making a full time run in WWE, and I also believe that him and Cena would be a banger at WrestleMania 39, and I also believe that they can put a lot of butts in the seats. Did you have anything else you wanted to say?
No, I think you said it pretty well. Cause I mean, man, we were over here thinking about the best people to go against John, but I think this is just perfect, man. I'd be excited to see it. And I was thinking about that match you just said with Jake Paul. That totally skipped my mind because he went viral too, and he was only there for like 2 minutes. Just came out
Literally.
to a weird entrance song and jumped over the rope, and he went viral and broke the internet too. And he didn't do anything besides carry his bro out. So it's just imagine like how many numbers you could pull having those two matches on a WrestleMania card. It's like, why not? Like the right and moral thing to do is, yes, build new stars, but technically Logan Paul is a new star. He
Hmm.
and even though he's an outsider, he comes in with clout. He could still use the building too, even though he's very much over. His brother's even over. He just showed up for like 2 minutes, man. That's like awesome. But it's just like, this is where the money's at. Take it while you can. Take it while you can. Um,
Mm.
that's all I gotta say.
I agree with you. And speaking of WrestleMania though, WrestleVotes has reported that WWE has offered Steve Austin, Stone Cold Steve Austin, the opportunity to wrestle another match. According to Steve Austin, he was so pleased about his performance at WrestleMania that he would not rule out the possibility of another special attraction match. So, with that said, if Stone Cold Steve Austin were to return to WWE, who would you pick to be his opponent or his feud?
Okay. Well, I had two choices. I'm gonna get I'm gonna get my primary choice out the way, the choice like I came up with my own, and I'm gonna give you my second choice afterward. Cause it's kind of like a 2-person thing. I came up with this, but my first choice was Brock because I asked myself, huh, who have they built up enough to be worthy of going against a Stone Cold? Because
Mm-hmm.
like Stone Cold just when you think about Stone Cold, you think about the same level as The Rock. There's never gonna be another Rock. There's never gonna be another Stone Cold. They're just like one in a billion. All right. Have they built anyone up to feel like a one in a billion, like a once in a lifetime superstar to go up against Stone Cold? Because I don't want Stone Cold coming back because he's trying to elevate someone necessarily. I want it because this makes sense and this makes money. But they haven't done much of anything with most of the stars. There are a few, but they're already doing their own thing and it's riding out just well. And I don't want to see Roman. For the love of God, I don't want to see Roman. Okay, let him do everything else. All right, he had enough. He's done enough. I asked myself, I was like, huh, I'm not really satisfied with anyone here, and I don't want to see Kevin Owens again because that was fun. It was great. If I saw it again, I don't think I'm gonna like laugh as hard and enjoy it as much. So I was like, huh, has this man ever like went against Brock? I'm like, Brock has been on the roster, but I don't remember them wrestling. But then I remembered, oh wait, this is why the motherfucker walked out. This should have been a pay-per-view match, and it was on live TV, and he was pissed off, and
Right.
he walked out. I never got to see that, so I was just like, huh, that would be amazing if Steve Neck could bear it. That would be amazing because if you think about the storytelling, Stone Cold, to the eyes of some people, think that he was a brat for walking out and being a punk or whatnot, and then he had to put his tail between his legs and eventually come back and finish off and finish strong. Brock never really had to deal with too much pushback. I believe he walked out once before, right? But for the most part, he got WWE wrapped around his finger. Like they had to like get to Brock's peoples to try to get to Brock. All right, and it's on his time. Everything's on his time. If he's gonna make an appearance, how long does he want to stay? Because Brock don't like staying for full shows. If he could get his match out in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, go the f home, he will go back home to Sable. Okay, like Brock has been hustling. He came up in the era of Stone Cold, and he's been hustling for like 20 years,
Right.
carrying this company on his back for a good decade of it. If I'm not mistaken, he was on the front of video games. He was, having main event matches. He was like the ultimate person you had to get through to create a star because no one for
Very
the
true.
longest could take down Brock. You get what I'm saying? Like, I didn't really think to myself about how big of a star Brock is and how you could put him up there. You really could put him up there with the Brocks. I'm going to talk with the Brock, with the Stone Colds and the Rock, because Brock is like a one in a billion time act. But they know each other and they have that beef. Not that beef, but they have that story there. So I feel
Right.
as though with the way that Brock has like improved his mic skills over the past couple years to where he doesn't need a mouthpiece, they could really just talk shit right there. That you went out like that you like to act like you're tough and this, that, and the fourth, and you walked out like a little B word and you quit when your neck hurt. And I've been carrying this company for 20 years. And now that you got your little 5 minutes of fame and you wrestled a rookie. Kevin Owens not a rookie, but I'm just saying
He's not
that you
at
wrestled
all.
a rookie. He's not. But I'm just imagining what could come out of Brock's mouth. That you beat a rookie or whatnot. Now you think you could wrestle at 50 something years old. Like, who do you think you are, bro? Like, who do you think you are? You know? Like, motherfuckers have to go through me. Me. I came up with you. Motherfuckers have to go through me to be valid. Like, he could, just keep poking at Stone Cold and give him something to prove again.
Right.
Because don't get me wrong, he did prove that he can wrestle. He could do something with Kevin Owens, but he could prove that he's still that motherfucker by going up against Brock and giving us that match that we never really like got to have on a big platform. That's what I think would be fire. Now, I was also speaking to a friend. Shout out to Zaire, by the way. He's probably going to be part of our spaces on Saturday. He had given me a brilliant idea. The last video game I ever purchased from WWE was W13, and we just like got into a discussion about a promo that was part of the game. Um, yes, it was a work, but it had JR and it had CM Punk and then it had Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, when I was looking at it, I was like I don't know how I feel about this. But as the conversation unraveled and JR was just like poking the bear, but he was such a starter, bro. He was such a shit starter in that whole entire segment. The tension was building between the two because they're talking about the difference between his generation and Punk's generation. That how back in the Attitude Era, people like Stone Cold and others, they had to crawl, they had to fight and crawl to get TV time, to feel important or whatnot. Whereas people from his generation, they either don't care or, as JR was joking about, this generation is better at playing video games. Which, by the way, that made me laugh because JR could get away with that. Undertaker cannot, apparently. Let me get back on topic. Let me get back on topic. Um, he mentioned that people from his generation don't claw as hard. That they kind of basically expect things to come from them, but there's only about 5 or 6 people, Punk being one of them, that actually wants to claw to the top, to be that person, to be like another Rock or another Stone Cold or whatnot. So it's as if like he doesn't really he doesn't particularly dislike this generation, but there's a few out there that stick out, and he saw a little bit of Punk in him. And as like the progression of this promo went on, there was this tension between these two because it was almost as if like I dislike you, right? I dislike everything that your generation stands for or whatnot. But one thing I respect about this kid is that to get into the position that he wanted to be in, because he didn't look the part, he didn't look like what Vince liked in this, that, and the fourth. He fought, and he clawed himself to get to where he wanted. Kind of similar to
Hmm.
Stone Cold. Stone Cold, like he wasn't supposed to make it. Punk wasn't supposed to make it.
Very true.
But they had to prove themselves. They had to rub some people the wrong way. They had to step on a few toes. They had to bark back at some bosses to get where they want to get at. And I would never have thought that. Yeah, there is a bit of when Punk was in his prime and he wasn't like a shit starter and he wasn't annoying. And he was doing the right things in WWE. I'm like, yeah, you know what? That whole like him being like a rebel and him, saying whatever he wants to say and doing whatever he believes in and standing on it, that's a lot like Stone Cold, you know? And the tension that was building up in that kind of reminded me a little bit of what's going on with the flow with Mox and MJF. It made a lot of sense to me. It made a lot of sense. Um I feel like if they wanted to give Punk what he wanted, which all he ever wanted was to just have like a WrestleMania main event and feel like a star, because he's wrestling has made up like the bulk of his life. Why not give him the star that he almost kind of emulates and give that to Stone Cold and they could reference not so much. They don't have to call back that exact game, but they could like make a few references from that promo, and he could talk a little bit about his time in WWE. Stone Cold go ahead and talk a little bit about his climb to get back into the ring and the will to want to wrestle. And if Punk ever were to want to come back, I feel like that's just a story that could write itself. I was
Mm.
gonna ask, what did you think about either choices, especially the Punk one, and who would be your choice to go up against Stone Cold?
So out of the two, I would probably 100% choose CM Punk over Brock Lesnar. The reason being is because um just the whole safety issue. Just like we don't know where Stone Cold's neck is. Brock is known to be, he's a tough in-ring competitor. Roman Reigns has said on the podcast, like, hey, he's rough. This is gonna hurt. So I feel like for the sake of safety, Punk would probably be the better choice. I would love to see, and while you were talking about this kind of came to my mind. If there was a way for Paul Heyman to get involved in the storyline, I would love. I would love for that to happen because
Oh, it
he's
would
the
be
common
so nasty.
denominator between he's the common denominator between Stone Cold Steve Austin and CM Punk, as well as Brock Lesnar. If we really think about it, he's been had Paul Heyman not given Stone Cold Steve Austin the opportunity to join ECW, we would not have seen the foundation of what Stone Cold was, because essentially Stone Cold was birthed out of, you know, getting fired from WCW. And Paul Heyman just said, "Hey, you can come to Philly. I'll give you a mic and you can say whatever you want." And then obviously with Punk and Heyman, Heyman was by his side when he, had the one of the longest reigning WWE championship runs of the modern era. And so I would love to see like a contract signing with like Paul Heyman as the moderator. I would love to see like him like give certain thoughts on each individual, but like not as like intrusive as he would, just because like he has his previous commitments as the wise man, the special counsel to the tribal chief. But he'll just put just enough out there for you to know like I was involved in this. So I would love to see CM Punk versus Stone Cold at WrestleMania as a special attraction match. And like you said, I feel like Punk was literally looking for a WrestleMania main event. And I feel like you're going to be in LA, you have 2 nights. There's not going to be a lot of matches bigger than this. Perhaps a Logan Paul versus John Cena, perhaps whatever, like perhaps a Sasha Banks versus Trish Stratus. But I think that this has to main event one of the nights, and I think that you take Stone Cold wanting to do another match. You have Punk, who's free from, presumably free from AEW. Um, you give him that, opportunity, and he's gonna run with it. But ultimately, I think that it can work. I think Stone Cold Steve Austin versus CM Punk at WrestleMania 39 would be the ideal situation, and that would be my choice as far as either of the two. Um, who I would want to see involved in that. Did you want to say something else? Cause
Well, okay, lovely. My lights went out. Uh, well, um, what I was going to ask that just threw me off, bro. I had a you moment. But what I was thinking.
wow.
No, I'm sorry. I was gonna ask, how would you bring CM Punk back for this situation with Stone Cold, considering that we haven't heard much about what's going on with him, besides that there's a potential buyout, and we're in late November right now. Like, if you really think about it,
Mm-hmm.
WrestleMania is gonna come by just like that. So. How
Mm-hmm.
would you bring Punk back to set up the situation? Because Brock, you could just book Brock to show up whenever. That's not a problem. Would you
Mm.
book him to come back for like the Royal Rumble, or you think that's too obvious and you'll try to insert Punk at like a different pay per view to set this up?
Well, here's what I would do if I was booking this feud. Um, Number one, whatever show is between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania 39 that's in Chicago, the way that I would book it is that I would have Stone Cold come out, talk about how he wants another match, how, he faced Kevin Owens last year and he was in the fight of his life, but he feels like he has just one more in him that he wants to do. And then he said, but to be honest, when I go through the back, I don't see anyone, or, there's no one that sees me that would face me at WrestleMania 39. And I just want to know, does anyone have the what to step up to Stone Cold Steve Austin? Punk's music hits. And Punk's music hits, it's Chicago, and then they have a Triple H Undertaker moment where they both kind of look at each other, and Punk looks at the sign, looks back at Austin, and Austin gives him all right, gives him that head nod, and they go from there. I think that then leading up to the match, they're both of these guys are going to make limited appearances, so I would only have them in the biggest markets, and them just kind of exchanging blows. And then it gets to the contract signing the week before WrestleMania, and Paul Heyman is the moderator. And that will be the first time one of them strikes. I would say I would try to see if I would try to see if both of them at one point could try to like hit their finishers on another, but neither of them hit their finishers. They both kind of reverse out of it. And now you kind of don't know what to think going into Mania. It's just like, is such and such gonna win? Is such and such gonna win? That's just the way that I would do it. That's the way that I would book it and how I would bring them, how I would bring Punk back. So, but what about yourself? How would you book it?
I actually think your idea was better than my idea because I feel like no, because my like corny self was thinking about the Royal Rumble, but I'm like, no, 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 don't do that because I feel like that's a better opportunity to bring Sasha back if she wanted to. I mean, that's the only way you're gonna elevate the men's Royal Rumble if you really think about it, because like
Very
I don't
true.
know what surprise you can really put in there. Actually, yeah, actually, I would think if out of the two, if I had to have a return for Punk versus Sasha coming back for the Rumble to make it pop off, since this female one was trash, but the female one at least had some divas, so it got the diva stands like talking. The men's one was just so trash. I think I even fell asleep on it. I think if they want to make up for the men, no, I'm being so serious. I think they want to make up for the men. Punk coming back and winning would be great, but then again, that implies that he wants to go for like a title. So maybe you
Right.
gotta scrap that idea. You know, the more you think about it, yeah, forget what I said. That actually sounds good. The only thing I want to add is that someone needs to mock the pastries, like the medium scrum thing. That needs to happen. That would be really
Oh
funny.
yeah, absolutely.
That'd be really that'd be really fucking funny if someone just threw some Mindy's pastries at him or some shit. Or Punk just came out talking shit with the he picked up where he left off. The last time we saw
Right.
him, it was like smacking on some pastries, and he was just talking shit about Stone Cold or about about the company. I feel like there needs to be little tidbits just for comedic relief that Punk is doing fine, and that yeah, he knows that he fucked up. But
Right.
I would love if he did come back for that plot to happen against Stone Cold. Moving on.
Moving on. So, moving from WrestleMania into NXT this past Tuesday, NXT announced a new style of match for their Deadline special. I believe it's going to be on December 10th, and the name of the match is called the Iron Survivor match. So the way that this is work is this: there will be two matches at Deadline, one for the men, one for the women. Both matches will consist of 5 challengers. Two competitors will start, with another competitor entering every 5 minutes until all 5 competitors are in the match. So it starts off with two, and then there's three. So essentially, by the end of the 15 minutes, all competitors will be in. By the end of 15 minutes, everybody will be in the match. The person with the most pinfalls or the most falls in a 25 minutes wins. So a pinfall will score a competitor 1 point, and the person who takes the pinfall has to go into the penalty box for 90 seconds. Um, so essentially, it's like an Iron Man match and a Soul Survivor type of concept. Whereas whoever has the most pinfalls at the end of the 25 minutes wins. And there's going to be one for the men, and there's going to be one for the women. It's going to be at NXT Deadline. So I heard about this, and I was just like, this is very, very, very interesting. Number one, I wanted to know your thoughts uh, on this match, and do you have any particular person that you think is going to win this match from the men's and from the women's?
Okay, well, let me respond uh, one at a time. The match idea sounds so cool. It's kind of like it reminds me of like Elimination Chamber, except that there's more bodies there, and you don't necessarily leave the chamber ever. You know, it's mixed with Iron Man. So I kind of like the concept of that. Don't know how they're gonna go about it. I guess they come running in like the Royal Rumble when it's their turn. It sounds fun. Sounds a little bit. It sounds fun, but it also sounds like it's gonna be like a little like sloppy or something down the line. But I don't know. I feel like it's different. It's been a minute since we've seen any like form of an Iron Man match. Um, And it makes me wonder, where did they get this idea from? Because this doesn't sound like it's something that WWE has done before. Is this something they got from like a different country, different continent? You happen to
I
know?
personally don't know. I don't know, but I actually have a theory. But I'm gonna wait for you to finish yours,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna tell
Okay.
my theory.
Cool. No, I just think it's so cool, but I just don't think WWE is smart enough to like come up with such an elaborate idea like that. Because what's cool about it is it's like a really, it's like a, hey, we didn't really do the best of job giving everyone like shine, so we're gonna just take this opportunity for you to see how everyone works with each other. So it sounds
Right.
diabolical on paper, but then when you think about it, I'm like, oh wait, this could kind of work because everyone gets a highlight. It's not like as sloppy as a battle royal necessarily, but it lets you see like how much range each person has and their chemistries with different people on the roster that you probably didn't pay too much attention to. Now, as far as who should win that, there's not too many females that I'm not like high on NXT. Like I like people like Lash Legend, but I feel like they constantly snub her. Jakara, I love her look. I seen her. I think I seen her wrestle this one match. Did she have her debut match? She was pretty alright. Um, I don't actually don't mind Tiffany Stratton. I think she's actually pretty good. She has a very annoying look, but she's actually very good. I'm trying to think who would I care to see like win though, because huh. I don't think I have a female that that I have in mind that I like that I think needs to win that. 'Cause everyone else that's set up, they're already set up in a good position where, regardless of if they win or lose, they're somehow going to be booked very well for the next for the remainder of their NXT run or on their way to the main roster. As far as the guys go, Wesley already won had already won something. So I don't know if I don't know who I would choose. I guess Tony D'Angelo. I would love to see Tony D'Angelo.
Mm.
I want to see him win something because I feel like he's such an important character to me. He's such a creative character to me. There's so much you could do with him, but he's been kind of put in storylines that they 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 start off really good and then the endings are very blah. But he's a great wrestler. He has a great look. Um, I don't think maybe they take him that seriously, but I think that he could definitely show off and show out if he were to win whatever you call this thing, this Iron Man Battle Royal Elimination Chamber conglomerate that we have going on. That'd be pretty dope.
That was three different
Yeah,
matches.
it is. It's like 3 in 1. But yes, I want to hear your theory, and I want to hear the two people that you would choose because I'm just going with Tony. I don't have a selection for the females.
So I feel like the match is it's influenced by two WWE matches, and one match that is outside of the realm of WWE. When I see this match, I automatically think of the championship scramble. Um, that was one of the matches that I feel like had a. Actually, I'll take three matches: the championship scramble, like the six way they did for the WWE title. I see shades of the Royal Rumble, right? I see shades of um I'm trying to think of, yeah, shades of the Royal Rumble, shades of the Championship Scramble, shades of the Iron Man match, obviously because it's an Iron Survivor. It's about how many pinfalls can you score in a certain amount of time. So it's those three matches. The penalty box idea is something that was picked up from TNA. Remember the King of
Oh,
the Mountain match? The six-way ladder match that was like a reverse ladder match type of
yeah,
situation.
yeah.
And so what happened was you had to pin somebody in order to be able to, be able to qualify to hang the belt. So you had to pin somebody and then you would be able to put the belt on top of like the rung and you would be, qualified to win. Whoever was pinned in that match had to be in the penalty box for 90 seconds. So when I heard this match and I heard about the penalty box, I was like, oh, this Iron Survivor has some shades of the King of the Mountain match, which was a byproduct of Jeff Jarrett, which we're going to be talking about later in the show. But as far as the women, I think Isla Dawn is going to win from the women's side. because she recently just debuted and cost Alba Fire the WWE NXT Women's Championship. And from the men's side, I think we're gonna get Carmelo Hayes. I don't know. I take that back. I think we're gonna get Trick Williams. I think Trick Williams is gonna win on the men's side.
Please. I
I think
love
Trick
this
Williams
man.
is. I feel like Trick Williams is gonna win on the men's side just because I feel like you know, I feel like he's a great talent. I don't think that people are expecting him to win, but I think that he deserves to win something. And I think that him being the Iron Survivor, because imagine this scenario where he wins the Iron Survivor, he wants the NXT Championship, and Carmelo Hayes wins the NXT Championship. That would be a very, very interesting scenario. But I'm eager to see kind of what happens from there. Um, did you have anything else you wanted to say about it, or
Oh no, because like that girl that she mentioned, I didn't watch NXT. I'll be honest, I didn't watch it, but I saw like the few times I went on Twitter this week, some girl that pushed Alba Fire off the ladder. Is it the girl with the orange hair? That's her.
yes,
Okay, because I was
that's
confused when
her.
I saw her. First, I thought that was Alba Fire. Then I thought it was Gigi. Then I looked at her again. I'm like, I never seen that girl before. So how did they introduce her? I just want to know how they brought her up. Just because I'm curious to know with a debut like that.
I think that Mandy and Alba were in a match, and I guess this is like the surface level. They were in a match. I think Alba was preparing to do some type of move to Mandy on the table, and then she turned around and Isla was there, and then she just kind of smiled in her face. I think spat something in her face, and then mushed her face off of the ladder, and then Alba went through the table and cost her the match.
Isla's her
As far
name?
as
This is not the same girl from Europe.
yeah,
No.
this is the same girl. Yeah, yeah, NXT
Oh,
UK.
okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
thought
yeah.
I was crazy because you said the name. I'm like, that sounds so familiar, but she had a darker look
Nah,
back
that's
then.
her. Yeah,
Oh
yeah, yeah.
wow,
That
I
was
love
her.
her. Wait, that makes
So
me excited.
yeah, so I think she's gonna win it because I feel like you've kind of wedged yourself into a championship picture, and so I think it would only make sense for her because it doesn't make sense for Alba Fire to win it and then challenge for the NXT title again because this is like her third time. So it's just like
I don't think they
I
care
don't
to
think they're
see her
gonna.
with the belt. I don't know why. I just feel like, all right, it's been like
I
over a
like
year.
I like Alba. I liked Alba when she was Kylie Ray,
Yeah.
and she was a great champion for NXT UK. But I do think that Isla Dawn is gonna win. Ooh, I don't know what
Okay.
that was. I think she's gonna win,
Okay.
um, on the women's side. But I was gonna say, did you have anything else that you wanted to say, or
No, I just wanted to clarify that because I didn't know who she was. I knew who she was. I just couldn't tell who she was. Like I was getting pissed off. I was too lazy to Google it. So thank you for
right?
thank you for
No,
clarifying that.
no problem. But moving on. So we spoke last week, right, about Braun Strowman's comments about the flippity floppy people. Um,
He's a bitch.
and apparently there are figures around the wrestling community that are taking exception to his comments. Jeff Jarrett appeared on his My World podcast and called Braun Strowman's comments tone deaf and said that he didn't just put one, but he put both feet in his mouth because, and I'm paraphrasing here, he said that he put both feet in his mouth because he was talking about, whether it's the X division or it's lucha libre. um you got to have wrestling with you have to have wrestling with diversity and multiple different genres and styles in order to satisfy the audience's appetite. So number one, I wanted to know how you felt about Jeff's comments on Braun's comments. um yeah, just wanted to know your take on it because I thought it was very interesting.
Sure, yeah. I think Braun has a very ignorant, very very broad, very ignorant like view of wrestling. I'm not sure if he grew up watching wrestling like the rest of us. I understand that yes, our generation grew up watching manly men that were of size, and they were 6'1" to 6'5", 6'7", and everyone weighed over 200 pounds, or their build was lied to be above 200 pounds. You know what I mean? And the people that were bigger, our eyes were we were um instructed to basically favor those people off of their look and their size and stuff like that. Um, whatchamacallit, I feel as though that yes, that was a very wise statement from him because wrestling has evolved, times had changed. You know what I mean? Um, I know that we had addressed many times before on this platform about wrestlers taking roids and stuff like that, or the whole body image thing, so that um whatchamacallit, sorry, I'm getting distracted by the footsteps and
You're
the
good.
noise in the background. Um, yeah, I know. Um, shit, I just lost my point. I'm back. I'm back. Now, what I was saying was that like that was just back then, right? That was just back then and all that stuff. And I feel like it's healthy and it's great nowadays that wrestling is embracing people just kind of being in a size and having a look that's comfortable with them and identifies with them, that they don't have to necessarily change and be something else or be a completely different mold just to satisfy the audience or to satisfy the people that are paying them. It's a good thing. It's a positive thing. You know, positive to see people that are smaller because maybe there are fans or grown men that are watching wrestling, or teenagers that are aspiring to be wrestlers, that they see people like that and maybe they're on the smaller end, and it makes them feel good on the inside to see a wrestler that maybe is small, like Ali, for example, or Chad Gable, for example, and they're making it on TV. You know, they're getting paid very well. They're getting over with the crowd, and we like them just for them and just the genuinity with them. You know what I mean? Wrestling, I feel like in general, wrestling wins in as a whole when you have diversity. When we had diversity with the looks, diversity with the characters, diversity with the choices of in ring style, wrestling would be very boring and dull to watch if everyone looked like Braun and everyone just did slow, big man, methodical moves. Like that's why when it came to the Saudi show, there was only two big man matches, and they were two very distinguishable big man matches because people that size
Right.
can't do everything for a
Mm-hmm.
reason. Imagine having 8 matches on a card where everyone was just over freaking 250 pounds and 6'3", 6'4", 6'5". You know what I mean? It wouldn't be fun. The matches would suffer. But on top of that, it's not necessary. Like this sport, I'm not saying anyone can do it because it does take a very specific individual to be able to commit themselves to the sport. But I just feel as though his point of view and the comments he made were just painfully ignorant. Um, and that he needs to put more respect on the names of the individuals that are of different sizes, different variations, with different fighting styles. It's not fighting styles. This is not a fighting game. This is a sport. Um, wrestling styles, choices, and and again, these people are more of a draw than he is, which is the biggest irony in all this. Like the
Mm.
people that are small that he's slandering, like again, these are the people that are main inventing in other companies and the company that you're in at this very point in time. Um,
Mm.
a veteran like Jeff Jarrett making this comment, as opposed to someone that is, from this generation, Braun Strowman, with like such a obsolete mindset, just kind of just shows you just, I guess, how dense Braun is and how little he knows and how much more that he has to learn and understand, because he's from a
Mm.
standpoint of ignorancy. Clearly too many people has told him in his past life that, with that size and the way you look, you're going to be such a star that you don't have to do anything, you can just rest on your looks or whatnot because that's what they want. Like, it's just so outdated, and it's very frustrating. And I'm sure that it was frustrating to Jeff Jarrett because not only did you just said he subbed him on his own podcast, but he subbed it on AEW, and it was justified. It was very much justified. It's a slap in the face to everyone else that puts their blood, sweat, and tears into progressing this business. We have a
Mm.
lot less people who we hear a lot less cases of people who are damaging their bodies trying to look a certain way for this company because we allowed more, inclusivity. Um, and all his comments are doing is just setting the business back. It's not doing anything. It's not doing anything for you. The comment help him and his PR. It's not doing anything for the business. It's not doing anything for your colleagues around you. I don't know, man. Um, this Braun is just a bad time and just a bad vibe. I'm happy he's getting chewed out, and I'm happy he's still getting lashes from Legends. I hope more Legends lashes ass. What did you think about his comments?
So I think that Jeff's comments were necessary and they were very, very spot on. Um, First of all, I do want to say this for those of you who are not aware. I am a Jeff Jarrett fan. I think that Jeff Jarrett is one of the most creative minds in the history of professional wrestling. If you liked TNA, you like Jeff Jarrett. His ability to, you know, he has an eye for talent. He has a mind for innovation. He was able to elevate guys like AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Frankie Kazarian, Christopher Daniels, Jay Lethal. He gave a lot of guys their first contracts and was able to showcase them in a way that made them household names. Like, part of the reason why AJ Styles was like the John Cena outside of WWE was because of the work that he did in TNA, his Ultimate X matches, his tag team title matches, his World Heavyweight Championship matches. Um, so Jeff Jarrett is one of the most creative minds in the history of pro wrestling, and he deserves all of his flowers. The second thing is that I think that he kind of hit the nail on the head. It's like, everybody, there's a lot of big guys that come at small guys. There's a lot of small guys that come at big guys. There are a lot of people that, especially the older generation that come for the high flyers. And it's like, but this is stuff that your audience wants to see. The audience wants to see high flying. They want to see athleticism. They want to see it. And so now, it's kind of disrespectful to guys that you can eventually work against, because you want to, put your foot in your mouth and make comments that you don't even really need to make. Like, one of the most memorable rivalries that I saw growing up was Rey Mysterio versus The Big Show. You know what I mean? Rey Mysterio is a pioneer of lucha libre. And so I feel like part of what makes this business are the stories, and the stories come from different peoples and different backgrounds of different shapes and different sizes. And you don't want to come at people just because of your personal preference, because ultimately you can end up working against some of these guys and can create something magical, but because you want to put both your feet in your mouth because you wanted to make a comment that really wasn't that necessary. um I think it's just sad and I think it's unfortunate, but I think that Jeff Jarrett hit the nail on the head. It's like it's disrespectful to guys like X Division and Lucha Libre to be making comments, and you kind of put yourself in a box when you start talking about those guys like that. So, but anywho, we're gonna move on because I feel like this next topic was something that you brought on, and I thought it was a very, very valid point. So moving on, you were talking earlier, uh, if MJF should be booked the way that he's been booked as a babyface during his AEW run. So I kind of wanted you to touch on that because I think that this was something that was, a very, very interesting point, and I think that it's going to be very, very well received when it's coming from your perspective.
Thought I muted the mic over here. I muted myself over there. Bet I'm back, people. Okay, yeah. So as I'm watching this MJF and Mox feud, um, me as a fan when I'm watching, and I noticed this a lot from other fans that were watching MJF. We love and appreciate MJF. I think in the very beginning with him having that baby face like promo, we were very much behind it. But a lot of us are starting to think that it's coming off very forced, very choreographed. And
Hmm.
as per a few sources, it was said to be that Chris Jericho was the person that was behind the suggestion of MJF taking a detour from being a heel and booking himself as a babyface. And I noticed that. I noticed that while I was watching the show that it did feel like a babyface Jericho talking. And I think that's why I was a little bit off put. So then this made me think to myself the possible outcomes for Saturday. And I guess I'm spoiling my own predictions with it. Because I think there's probably like two or three ways that they could go about this. I was wondering, like, what if they decide to have him win? Let's say hypothetically he wins and he wins as a babyface. Then I was wondering then what? Does he come back onto the show next week and then he cuts a heel like promo and then Regal aligns himself Regal comes out with Mox and they bicker a bit and then we have a heel turn happen where Regal just I don't know, kicks, low blows, or kicks, mocks in the nuts or whatever. So whatever heel gibbers he used to do, and then aligns himself with MJF, and then we just make MJF heel all along, and he was just putting up like a stick, and he was just putting up a front. But I was also wondering, like, what if they wanted to continue him being a baby face? What is the why, and what is the investment in him being a baby face? And do you think it's something that they could keep up with, because he's such
Mm.
like a natural heel? Like, it just feels right. It would feel more right if honestly he lost as a baby face, got pissed off because it's just like, well, me cheating got me way ahead. I didn't have to lose myself, lose my character, and expose myself in front of all these fucking peasants, you know? And it becomes more about, I don't even want to win this effing title. I almost want to beat Williams' ass. Because William was a person that broke me. Like, you broke me into being the most vulnerable person, the most vulnerable layer of myself in front of all these people who didn't deserve to see this of me. And it's just like, now I lost and I'm out for blood. And he could go ahead and try to, like, go for the title again as a heel and do all the chicken shit, evil, maniacal things he was doing before to get over. And I don't think William Regal could wrestle. I think that might rule out that idea. If he could wrestle, that would be insane. I wouldn't be shocked, only because there's a lot of elderly. All right, there's a lot of elderly that's appearing on both shows between Raw and AEW. It would not
Right.
shock me if this were to turn into an angle where it's just like, I don't care about the belt anymore. I know who I am. I'm MJF, motherfucker. Okay? And you just made me lose a piece of myself trying to prove something to you. I don't want that belt. I want your old raggedy ass. That would be really intriguing if Regal could possibly wrestle, even if it's for a short match and he's safe on the bumps or whatever. I feel like those are three possible outcomes that they could do with MJF. So my two questions, I guess, to you is, how do you feel about him being a babyface? If he was a babyface prolonged past this title match? And how do you think AEW wants to move forward with this booking decision on Saturday on who's going to go over, and then what's going to happen with MJF as far as being a face or a heel? So it's 3-1.
So I think for starters, I think that MJF is going to win this Saturday. I'll start off with that. I think that the
Yeah.
next thing to kind of keep in mind is I think that the train of thought is you can't be a heel if people are cheering you. And I feel like MJF is just like, listen, if people are cheering, I feel like people are cheering MJF because he's good at what he does. But it's like, it's hard to be a legitimate heel when people like you. And so it's one of those things where it's like, well, if it works, it works. So I feel like he'll ride this little babyface thing out until he's getting booed again, and then he'll be the guy that gets booed. But it's just like, it's one of those things that there's so many people that know the ins and outs of what's been happening in AEW that it's hard not to cheer for MJF, right? Between the whole Punk post show thing, and between MJF making it known that he wasn't paid as much as he should be paid, between that and let's like the track record of good things that MJF has done in this company, it's like it's hard for people to be like, oh, I hate that guy. So it's like they're gonna let this babyface thing run out until he becomes the most hated guy in the room again. And to be honest, I think it works for now. Like, it's one of those things where it's just like, well, um, like, it is what it is. They're just gonna ride it out because right now, if you if you know if MJF is MJF, like, it works. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if he was the biggest heel in the world, he's gonna be going into New Jersey. That's not that far away from Long Island. Like, that's by his hometown. He's gonna get the hometown pop either way. So it's like you might as well just let it ride out. Um, but yeah, like that's I'm gonna save my predictions for my predictions, but I think that as far as the trajectory of MJF, it's like he's just gonna ride it out, and I think that it's working. People are responding well to it because he's still doing like heelish things. He's still taking jabs at people's hometowns and stuff like that, and you know what I'm saying. So I think that they're just gonna let this ride out. But speaking of that, let's just go into our full gear. Wait, you look like you're about to say something. Nah, you
I'm
good?
good. I'm good.
Straight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. So we're gonna go into our full gear predictions. So there are a good amount of matches on this card, and we're gonna start from the bottom of the card, you know, to the top. So we're gonna start with Darby Allen and Sting versus Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. Who do you got for this match?
I love Darby Allen, and I also love these corny montages that they had for him. Honestly, they're so like
Hmm.
emo, it's so dramatic. I'm a big Darby Allen fan. I want more for Darby Allen, so that's my pick, Darby and Sting.
I think we're gonna go Darby and Sting as well on this side. I think that obviously with the series of attacks that have been happening, plus the lack of appearances from Sting, it just leads me to believe that they're doing all of this to kind of put Darby over. I think also that Darby's gonna get the pinfall win. Um, I also just think that it's very, very interesting that 3 out of the 4 people in this match are TNA alumni. Sting, Jeff Jarrett, and Jay Lethal both were in TNA. But yeah, I think Darby and Sting are gonna I think Darby and Sting are gonna win this little tag match. So going from there, we have Saraya and Britt versus Britt Baker. Now, before we actually get into this, there was a little tweet that Saraya actually posted, and I'm gonna read it. It literally came in as we were doing the show, and I was like, oh man, I gotta bookmark this. She says, "Man, 2 more days till I get to wrestle again. One of the biggest matches of my career after a 5 year hiatus. I'm loving every moment of being in AEW, and I feel so lucky to get to go out there and compete. Side note, F Britt Baker." So, with that being said, who do you have, Saraya or Britt Baker?
I feel like it makes the most sense if Paige goes over. Um, because Britt doesn't really have much to prove. Like, she's been
Mm,
so over in this company. She's still booked like a star even without a belt. I mean, hell, she's been handed an opportunity to work with someone that AEW is trying to book like a legend almost.
mm-hmm.
This match is not about really Britt. It definitely made for great promos. It was a great person to start off Paige, but this is something where it's supposed to be Britt still earns from this match because she could win or lose and no one can be mad at her because it's Paige. We haven't seen Paige in a while. We know that Paige was a solid wrestler the last time we seen her wrestle, but we don't know what to expect from her. Um,
Right.
no one knows what to expect from her. Um, and Britt's not known to be a fantastic wrestler or anything. She could lose this match and be fine, be safe, could move on to work with anyone. It matters more if Paige were to lose because we haven't seen you, and all this talking gibberish won't mean a damn thing if you don't win your first match. To continue the momentum, she doesn't have to keep winning every single
Very true.
match after this, but she needs to win her first match. It is crucial.
Mm-hmm.
You can't set up a babyface promo like that, chewing out Britt last week about all the places you wrestled in, how you sacrificed yourself, you got hit with a motherfucking car, you know, and still wrestled. You cannot have that much heart. Then show the whole world your doctor letter, all right, saying that you could wrestle with no restrictions, no none of that, and then just lose. Because then, like, hun, what do you do after that? If I were to lose my first match after talking all that smack, I'm taking my ass back home. Like, I'm going back on Twitch. Like,
I'm going back on
this
Twitch.
ain't for me. So Paige it
I'm
is.
weak.
Soraya. My bad. Go ahead.
I got Saraya as well, just because all of this feels like a it feels like a
Comeback
triumphant
story.
comeback. This is and I feel like sometimes it's this is you shouldn't try to throw little wrenches into the story for the sake of trying to make people mad. It's just I feel like Saraya's gonna win. I think it's just as simple as that. I think Saraya's gonna win. I think that Britt doesn't have my own actually I have my own little theory about it, but I'm gonna wait until the end. But I don't think that Britt becomes any weaker by losing. I also feel like it's going to feed into Britt's character development for what I feel like is going to happen later in the show. All in all, um, I think that Saray is going to take the W on this one. So the next match is Jungle Boy versus Luchasaurus in a steel cage match. Who do you got?
I'm more of a bigger fan than Luchasaurus than I am Jungle Boy. That is my bias. Um,
Mm.
but, but Jungle Boy is like a breakout star in his own right. Everyone loves him. He's so over. Um, there's more you could do with Jungle Boy moving forward if he won out of this than Luchasaurus, and I think it's just a better story that the person that was kind of like, not that Jungle Boy was necessarily right under Luchasaurus, but you look at the faction that you originally had, and Luchasaurus just reasonably looks like the leader of the pack. I think it's better for storytelling when the person that was, I guess, subpar to you goes over to kind of
Hmm.
prove themselves. And it's something that if you want to continue this feud, you can continue this feud. But I think that it'd be fun if Jungle Boy won. What happened? Oh
I
shit!
agree with I agree with you on that. Um, as far as who I think is gonna win, I think that based on the history that Luchasaurus, Christian Cage, and Jungle Boy have had over these past, I would say 3 to 6 months, Jungle Boy has been taking a lot of L's. And whether it's like a pre-match attack or things that happen outside the match, I think that the losing in this particular storyline has built Jungle Boy's character, and the predicament of it being in a steel cage match allows Jungle Boy to be able to win the match without having to pin Luchasaurus in order to win. So Luchasaurus can still look strong. So I think I'm gonna go with Jungle Boy on this one. I think that we're seeing this storyline has kind of cultivated Jungle Boy into a breakout star in the company. I think that he's gotten way better on the mic ever since he started this feud. So I think I'm gonna go with Jungle Boy uh in this particular match. Now the next match I think is going to be a banger, and I think is going to be the match of the night. The AEW TNT Championship match is going to be Wardlow versus Powerhouse Hobbs versus Samoa Joe. Who do you have in this three-way match?
I want to go with Wardlow. I feel like
Mm,
Hobbs is just there. I love me some Joe, but I don't think they're gonna work with Joe for this one.
mm.
I feel like Wardlow has been overdue for feeling like super duper important as he should have been a while ago because of all like the drama. I feel like this is a perfect way to put him over, give him the belt, give him more screen time. I love me some Samoa Joe. Don't get me wrong, man. Like I fucking love him, but I feel like Wardlow could use this. It would just work. It would feel right. It'd be a moment where like the crowd just kind of rejoices because it's just like yes, like Wardlow's getting what he deserves. So I'm gonna go with Wardlow.
I disagree only because he's already the champ. He's already the champ. He's already had the belt. So I think that in this case, um, Powerhouse Hobbs, I think is due for a win. I think that Powerhouse Hobbs is the next breakout star that AEW has to offer. I think that there are so many ways that Hobbs can win this match while Warlord remains strong or looking strong. So I think I'm going to go with Powerhouse Hobbs to win the TNT Championship. And speaking of TV, the next championship is the AEW TBS Championship, where it's going to be Jade Cargill versus Nyla Rose. Who do you got?
First of all, I love this feud. Nyla Rose is so fucking hilarious, both on screen and on Twitter. She is a treat. Like God, she's so funny, and this is actually one of the like first few times I actually cared for a Jay Cargill feud. Not because Jay Cargill sucks. It's just that I feel like they suck at like making me care during like the actual feuds because you need someone to match someone else's energy for the mic. I feel like this is actually going to be a very good match. I actually wouldn't mind if Nyla Rose won, but I feel like they're gonna still continue this reign with Jade. I feel like Jade is just
Hmm,
gonna continue to hold this belt until they debut the right female to take it off. And it could possibly go down the line where Paige might even take this belt.
I agree.
But so that's what I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with Jade, and I think that the only person that's gonna dethrone her that no one's gonna complain about is Paige.
I agree with that. I think that Nyla Rose, like you said, is extremely entertaining and riveting. I think that this whole feud has been probably Jade's most interesting and entertaining feud for the title, and because of that, I think that Jade is going to win. The undefeated streak is going to continue, but I think that Jade is going to take this one. But this has been very entertaining to say the least. Um, but moving on to the AEW Trios Tag Team Championship match, where we have Death Triangle versus the return of the Elite. Ah, it's gonna be great. But I wanted to know, who do you have, Death Triangle or the Elite?
So biased because I want the elite. I actually really miss them. I think everyone misses them. This would be such a fun way to have them come back. Just have them come back and just have them win. Because I want to hear more from them. Everyone is waiting to hear more from them. So I want to see the elite. Sorry for my congestion. The elite.
You're totally
Final answer.
fine. Also, I agree with you. I think that the Elite are going to win the titles. I think, like you said, everybody misses them. I think that this is another triumphant kind of return story, especially in light of everything that happened at the media scrum. Um, and they were the first, trios tag team, first trios team to ever win those titles. And I think it's just appropriate for them to pick back up from where they left off. So I'm going with the Elite. The next match is a four-way match for the Ring of Honor World Championship between Chris Jericho, Brian Danielson, Sammy Guevara, and Claudio Castagnoli. Who do you have?
Ooh. Well, first of all, on paper, this is a great match. I know they had an opener yesterday that slapped. Huh.
Mhm.
Chris Jericho doesn't really need it. I would I would really punt the TV if Sammy won. Um, they have been building Claudio up very well, but I still want to go with Daniel. I feel
Mm.
like Daniel keeps getting ripped off. I'm gonna go with Daniel. He deserves it. He could make a lot of very good use of this. Please tell me you agree, 'cause I'll be very upset.
I do agree. I do agree that Danielson is going to win. I think that it's going to be interesting because it doesn't specify if it's going to be a fatal four-way elimination match. It just says if it's going to be a fatal four-way match, and then it will be very interesting to see Danielson pin Sammy. And now there's tension between Sammy and Jericho because Sammy cost the Jericho Appreciation Society of Jericho retaining his gold. So I think that Danielson is going to win this, and I think that that's going to be the way that the Blackpool Compact Club still has some championship goal, based on my prediction on the end of the show. Now the next match is the interim. I don't know why interim is still on this. The interim AEW Women's World Championship with Tony Storm versus Jamie Hayter. Who do you have?
Eh, I can't see Jamie having it. I don't know why. I just can't. Not that I don't like her. I actually like her a lot. I just eh, it just feels like a feud that is meant to make Tony Storm feel more legit. Like they try to go the personal route. I'm not really mad at it, but it'll be like I guess the first feud that means something for Tony Storm.
Hmm.
So that's just what the setup is, and that I feel like is supposed to go in Tony Storm's ballpark until we circle back to Rosa. What do you think?
I got Jamie. I got Jamie winning this match,
Porque
and
I
the
need to
reason,
know.
and would you say?
No, I said I need to know. I need to know.
So I think that Tony has had a really good run. She's had pretty good defenses. Um, I think that Jamie is white hot right now. She's over with the AEW crowd. I think that even though Jamie and Britt kind of have resolved their little issues, that there's still some underlying tension. There's still some things that uh Britt is doing that Jamie isn't doing. Like, I remember there was a couple weeks ago on TV where she did the little DMD hand motion thing. Rebel did it with her, but Jamie didn't. And I was like, that's a very,
Mm.
very interesting touch. So I think that one of the reasons why I was saying the whole thing about Britt, I think that Jamie's going to win the gold. Britt's going to lose her match. That's going to cause Britt to be jealous of Jamie, and then it's going to cause Jamie and Britt to feud. And
Ooh,
that's
long
gonna she's
term
gonna beat
booking. I
Tony for
love
the
that.
title, and then she's gonna move on to Britt as her first title defense off the muscle of Britt making this personal or turning on Jamie because Jamie won her match and da 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 whatever. I just think that Jamie. I feel like if Jamie Hayter wins this title, it gives AEW more creative flexibility over like what they can do with Jamie because I think it'd be legitimately interesting if Jamie Hayter wins and she's white hot. I feel like this is the time to strike the iron. She's hot. Give her the belt while she's hot. So, but moving on from that, we have the AEW World Tag Team Championship match with the Acclaimed versus Swerve and Our Glory. Who do you have?
I want to say the Acclaim, but it could really go either way because they've been like putting a lot of effort into this feud between motherfucking Max Caster calling Keith Lee Cleveland Jr.
Cleveland Jr.
yesterday. Yes. But also I like how they've been legitimizing the fuck out of Swerve with like, even having someone like Rick Ross showing
Yeah.
up and saying that he's gonna be like the largest recording artist and whatever. Like I like how on both sides they're like legitimizing them. Like they claimed it's very much over, very, very, very much over. Um, but I like how just I feel like you could tell that they're gonna win, but I like how they still, despite the fact that I feel like Swerve and Our Glory is going to lose, that they're still making them sound like, you know, that they're top notch, that they're not to be messed
Mm.
with, that yeah, they lost, but like, these guys are the future somehow. I like how that's constantly being referenced, that these guys are stars still. So I feel like they could afford to still lose again, and I feel like it just wouldn't make sense with how like again like the money that's being drawn right now with the acclaimed, you know? And like the effort that's
Yeah.
being placed in with the acclaim, I just think that it would just be like silly at this point. Unless there's like a fuck finish, I
Yeah.
don't see why it would make sense to make them lose. Like that's not what I'm doing if I'm Tony Khan. So, acclaim.
I got the Acclaimed as well. I feel like there are multiple things at play here because we're starting to see Swerve become his own person, setting apart from Keith Lee. Whereas I feel like where we see like the Acclaimed as a team, I feel like we're starting to see the separation between Swerve and Keith, between Rick Ross showing up, between Swerve doing that thing where he had Billy Gunn hostage. We're starting to see like the moral separation between Keith Lee and Swerve, and I feel like if the Acclaim win, and when the Acclaim win, we're gonna see Swerve go full on heel, and I feel like the first feud is going to be against Keith Lee. I just think that Swerve is going to turn on him because we've already seen many instances that separate Keith and Swerve, and so it's just like if they lose, it's like why do they need to be together? So I think that we're going to see Swerve and we're going to see Swerve and Our Glory lose, but we're also going to see Swerve turn heel on Keith Lee. Now, the next match is the AEW Championship Eliminator Tournament Finals, where it's going to be Ethan Page versus Brian Cage, Ricky Starks, or Lance Archer. I think that it's going to eventually be Ethan Page versus Ricky Starks. But I wanted to know, who do you have in this match?
Ricky.
Mm,
Ricky. I'm biased, so at all times I'm gonna choose Ricky. 'Cause I just feel like he's just that guy, and they're working on him. They're brewing up something with him. I just feel like
mm,
Lance Archer is a non-factor to me. Brian Cage is he's not bad by any means. It's just that they're not gonna do anything with him. But Ricky Starks, he's
right.
that guy. He's the person that she should have been working on all this time. Give it to Ricky.
I got Ricky Starks as well. Just what we've seen over the past couple months with his character development and his fire. Um, I think we're gonna get Ricky Starks winning that tournament finals. Um, and I think that we're gonna see Ricky Starks versus the winner of the next match. And I think it's gonna be a phenomenal feud because of what they're gonna do to each other on the mic. So speaking of the next match is, and the final match is for the AEW World Championship, John Moxley versus MJF. I think we both kind of already talked about that, but who do you have?
I feel like it has to go in MJS ballpark unless they plan on revisiting this feud. But there's more to gain out of here at this entire pay per view because this is the money match that everyone is paying that $50-$60 for. I don't know. I stream my shit,
Mm-hmm.
child, but other people are paying for Fight
Right.
TV.
56.
I'm a dick. Let me stop. People are paying their hard earned money and going out to New Jersey for this moment. We're all here in favor of MJF. This, I feel like, is very strategic. It's not like you said in his hometown, Long Island, but it's more or less adjacent to it. You're gonna piss off a lot of people, Tony, if MJF doesn't win.
If JF doesn't
You're gonna
win,
piss off
right?
a lot, considering how you ended um the last pay-per-view that she had, all the bull crap that happened in between, and then getting to this one, it would be criminal if MJF didn't win. But
Mm.
if he didn't, you they have to make it up next pay-per-view, but I just feel like that long behind wait, I feel like everyone's been waiting long enough to see MJF hold some type of gold. He came out when this company started, with guns blazing and everything, white hot with his heel stick. He didn't get the belt with Jericho. Yeah, he got the ring, but all in between that, he was involved in everyone's freaking feud, but he
Mm-hmm.
couldn't seem to get anything to show for it. And I think that we
Mm.
as fans, after 3 years now watching of AEW, we're tired, and we are tired of waiting. We want to see this man draped in gold, and it would make sense considering he's doing movies and stuff like that. Shouldn't you want to treat him like a star?
Exactly.
I'm just saying, it would make the most sense. He's basically gonna be the face of your company. He should be the face of your
Mm.
company. He's representing a Von Erich freaking movie. That's huge. That's big.
It's
He is
huge.
going
Yeah.
to be your face for pro wrestling. If he doesn't win, Tony Khan, we are gonna have a way of words. I might get suspended again. Okay, I just may after some words with
We can't.
you.
We cannot have you suspended, Mo. Not again. Um, as far as my prediction, I got MJF easily. Um, you're in the tri-state area. This has kind of been brewing for a very, very long time. I don't know where he would go from here if he were to lose, which is the reason why I think he's going to win. He is the guy that's going to be the face of your company for years to come. Grant, hopefully, he signs a nice, healthy extension with the company. But I legitimately believe that MJF is going to win on Saturday night. And it's gonna be one of the most wild nights in pro wrestling. And but I was talking about with the last match, man, Ricky Starks versus MJF is gonna slap, bro. MJF versus Ricky is gonna
Ooh.
slap. Them promo battles are gonna be crazy. But I think that concludes our full gear predictions. So we wanted y'all to know we want to hear y'all. Jesus, my words. We want to hear y'all and y'all opinions on full gear and what you guys think is going to happen. Once again, be sure to join us in our 316 space live right during full gear. We're going to be all watching it together, so be sure to pop in, and we look forward to seeing you guys there. I think that concludes our show. So once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys hopefully in the 316 space. But if not, we'll see you guys next week. Bye.